What's up, guys? Welcome to Whiskey. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, why don't we jump into our review? Today we're looking at the Port Charlotte Islay Barley 2011. Stick around. Alright, so we're back with another Port Charlotte release. I recently reviewed the 10, and I thought we would look at the Islay Barley today. This one is a vintage whiskey. Mine's from 2011. I really loved the 10. I thought it was great stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one follows up. There are some similarities between this one and the 10-year-old. Both have spent time in refill wine casks and ex-bourbon casks. They're both heavily peated at 40 ppm, but this one's going to be a little bit younger. This one is about 6 years old. It was bottled in 2018. Also, as the name suggests, they sourced their barley from 3 local Islay farms. According to the website, this was trickle distilled. I'm not too sure what that means, but we can assume it's just a very slow distillation process. They used Oxbridge and Publican varieties of barley to make this, which actually doesn't mean that much to me. I'm not that technical of a whiskey drinker, but I love that they shared it. Honestly, I wish I knew more about that kind of thing, like barley varieties and types of yeast and the more technical scientific side of distilling. I don't know much about that stuff. I wish I knew more. I tend to just drink, sit around, and then toss out scores for you guys. But that information is going to mean something to some of you out there, and I think it's great that they shared it. In terms of our casks, we have 75% first fill bourbon casks and 25% wine casks, refill wine casks. The types of wine were Syrah and Figaro. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know much about wine, but yeah, Bruichladdich basically answers all of the questions that us nerds are bound to ask on their website. They really are one of the most transparent distilleries out there. I did mention a moment ago how much I love the 10-year-old. In my review, I said it was one of my favorite entry-level whiskeys coming out of Islay these days. I think I scored it something like 89. It does have a slightly more premium price tag than other whiskeys out there, but I think it's got the quality to back it up. So hopes are pretty high going into this one. And with that said, why don't we jump into our review, see what our whiskey is all about, and in the meantime, if you could kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. Nice thing about buying Bruichladdich is you know you're getting good specs. This one comes in at 50%. It's going to be non-chill filtered. It's going to be naturally colored, as it should be. I mentioned in my review of the 10-year-old how much I love Port Charlotte bottles. I think they have some of the best bottles in the whiskey game. I love the bottle shape. I love the dark color scheme. I love the minimalist label. I don't know why they don't say natural color, non-chill filtered on the label. They should, but small gripe, easy 5 out of 5 for presentation. I did not water this. Let's try our nose. Nice. Okay, one of the first things I notice here is that this feels structured. Like some younger peated whiskeys are going to be very loud and chaotic. This feels a lot more intentional. It feels more structured, if that makes any sense. We have some spicy, sharp peat in here. We have some white pepper, a little bit of soot. We have tarmac, vanilla, honey, some gravel, bit of camphor, and some lemon zest. Now our palate. Okay. Slightly viscous, big honey with some strong, forward, oily peat, fishing duck, lemon lime, ginger, salt and pepper, vanilla, petrol, tarmac, and some like lozenges, like lemon lozenges and mint lozenges. This is really good. And now our finish. Okay, so there's our wine casks. Wine casks were pretty low-key up until now. Starting to come through a little bit more. A little bit of tannins, some jammy berries, maybe some red fruits. Chocolate, dark chocolate, maybe like those chocolates you get in the box and inside you've got like the cherry and the cherry liqueur. I'm getting that in here. We also have white oak, fishing dock again, and a really nice like red licorice note in here, and some lingering white pepper. Our finish is medium in length. So we have a good one here. I think this one has a lot going for it. I mentioned earlier that I think it's well structured, and I think that's true. I think it's a well-crafted whiskey. I think there was some good attention to detail here. Flavor-wise, we're not doing anything groundbreaking with this one, especially if you've had other Port Charlottes, but the flavors do come together nicely. No doubt because they use good casks for this one. I mentioned that the casks they use to make this are similar to the ones they use to make the 10, but there are some subtle differences. We'll talk about that in a moment, and you can detect them. This one does have a younger, punchier, slightly more vibrant peatiness to it, but it's also been rounded out really nicely by the cask. We don't have those rougher edges that you might expect from a 6-year-old whiskey. Comparing it to our 10-year-old here, when I first popped this one, I'll admit it was kind of hard for me to tell the difference between that and the 10-year-old. Even now, if you blindfolded me and you told me this one was the 10-year-old or vice versa, I probably wouldn't know the difference. So the whiskeys are not dramatically different, but they're definitely not identical. It did take a side-by-side for me to see that, but yeah, our 10 is more settled and malty. This one, it is a younger whiskey. Our peat's going to be a little bit punchier, so we definitely have a little bit more kick to it, some more spice in here. And this one's also more rounded thanks to the higher percentage of first fill bourbon casks, I assume. And it's such a small difference. The 10-year-old is 65% first fill bourbon casks. This one is 75% first fill bourbon casks. So it doesn't feel like it would be very significant, but I do get more big, rounded vanilla notes in this one. I also think our wine casks are a little bit louder in this one too. I get more like tannins and berries and jammy notes in here. Not a lot more, but yeah, definitely the wine casks do feel a little bit more assertive. That being said, it's still a peated whiskey first and foremost. So yeah, some nice sweet fruity notes in here, as well as some nice sweet rounded vanilla notes. So which do I prefer, this or the 10? I'm gonna say this one. It's a tough call, but I like the vibrant youth that we get in the peat here, and the fact that our casks do seem a little bit more active. So yeah, I am gonna say I like this one more, but not enough to go any higher in terms of score. I gave the 10 an 89. I'm going to give this one an 89 too. If I gave half points, I'd do that. Some days I do prefer the 10 because, again, maltier, a little bit calmer. But I think most of the time I'd go for the more vibrant, cask-forward Islay Barley. Either way, they're both bangers. They're both wonderful whiskeys. You cannot go wrong. If you like the 10, you are going to like this one. It's basically just Port Charlotte doing what they do well. So yeah, this is a really nice one. It strikes a nice balance between the bourbon and the wine influence. You have the thicker, rounder vanillas in here, along with some slightly tannic, fruity notes underneath. It's not just a peat bomb. You have a lot of supporting flavors in there. Excellent stuff. Recommended. In terms of value, I think this is good value, but it's not great value. Obviously, we're going to keep going with the 10-year-old comparison. This one is more expensive than the 10. It's not a lot more expensive, but enough. Luckily, in my market, it's not too much of a price jump, so I'm okay pulling the trigger. But I've checked some of the online websites, the international retailers, and it's enough of a jump that I would just stick with the 10-year-old. The 10-year-old does not disappoint. But for a decent price, if you can find this for a reasonable price, I would say go for it. It's good stuff. Alright, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, like, comment, and subscribe. Always appreciated. And I do want to hear from you. Have you tried our Port Charlotte Islay Barley 2011? Maybe you tried another vintage. What did you think about it? Finally, down in the comments, let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.